Hey guys, we're back.
In black. And white and gray.
White and gray and green, red and beard.
Back in beard.
Anyways, sorry about the long wait. Kind of went on a brief hiatus. We had an episode a while back, but we just kind of ran into some problems because it was a touchy subject.
We recorded it 3 times, trying to get it right. And finally, once we got everything we wanted to say right, there was audio problems that would have been too hard of an edit to go through. It would have been too time consuming, so we just ditched it.
Yeah.
We were discussing, can you cosplay outside your race? We'd seen a lot about it online, and the conclusion we came up with was yes, definitely. Just don't change your skin color. Don't paint yourself.
Just be tasteful about it.
If it's like a fictional race, go ahead. If it's
like, an alien or something, that's fine.
But if it's like a non-fictional race that you are not, you can do it. We wouldn't recommend it. It's not a tasteful thing to do. Not a good thing to do.
And it's going to offend people regardless. So unless,
even if you're coming from a good place, not recommended.
Yeah, and that's kind of essentially what we got to with that. But there was a lot more discussion. We had our friend Sydney on, and she was kind of helping us with that. But it was just too long and technical, and also with our audio problems, we just decided to bail on that idea. So we're back. We're actually pretty close to Halloween, aren't we? So we're actually going to be talking a little bit about Halloween in this episode. What else we got, Josh?
Our read list and Pokemon Go update.
Yep, and that's
no audio problems, hopefully.
No audio problems. Yeah, it took a little while getting us set up this time, but I think we figured it out, thankfully. So we'll move right into Pokemon Go. Josh has his open right now.
The Halloween update just started with added candies and more Ghastlies and Hypnos. And
Yep, basically everything's all spookified. It's all spoopy. We've got more of the ghost-type Pokemon. Oh, what just appeared? A Ghastly. That's right, folks. He is actively Pokemon going. You can't stop him. He won't stop. What level are you right now?
27. Almost
27.
Almost 28.
Yeah, I'm a level 24 right now. I'm about to hit 25, probably here in the next day or so, especially with the increased XP and also like with all the candies and stuff. I'm probably gonna hit it here in any minute now. But yeah, what's the most rare thing you've got so far? What's the one thing you were looking for the most but haven't been able to catch until now?
My most recent was Dodrio.
Oh, Doug Trio.
I got that one too.
Oh, the Duduo.
Yeah, Dudrio.
Dudrio. The
what is it called?
The evolution of Duduo.
Here it is. Dodrio.
Dodrio.
Isn't
okay.
that what I said?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it is, maybe.
I'm pretty new to Pokemon, but yeah, this was my, I think, 136.
How many do you have total?
136.
136 out of 148, I think is the...
I think it's 146, isn't it? There's 150, and like 4 aren't available at all.
Yeah, currently. But he's kicking my butt because, I mean, I've only got like, I think it was like 92 last I checked. And the most rare thing I got was a Pikachu.
Nice.
I literally, like, I've never seen one. I had to hatch it. Pretty much.
Yeah?
So, like, you'd think Pikachu, like, it's kind of like the iconic Pokemon, and I can't even find him.
Yeah. I've seen a bunch.
Yeah, well, you've seen a lot of things a bunch.
Yeah.
Tell people about your little secret exploit here that you've been running.
Secret
It's not really
exploit?
it's not really an exploit, but it's
Oh, that my house is basically a spawn point?
yeah, your house is a spawn point, but I'm talking about your late night drives.
Oh, yeah. If you go out in the country where there's nothing spawning, if your sightings is empty, Go out there, hit an incense, and all kinds of stuff will spawn. Because without that kind of spawn point, it doesn't know what type to bring up, so you'll get all kinds of... Like my wife caught a tangela last night off incense out in the country.
Yeah.
So we'll just drive out in the country about 15, 20 miles an hour. And
you'll catch stuff that isn't in your local like nest areas. Like there was just a squirtle nest over by my place that people have been looking for recently. But there's just a lot of things. I've seen it firsthand. I caught like magnemite. I caught all sorts of things. I only went one time and with Aaron and Natalie, and we caught a ton of stuff that like never seen in this area before. Basically,
the only reason I'm at 136.
Pretty much. You and your like 10 Snorlaxes too.
Those I've never caught those on incense. That's just getting lucky, I guess.
I've obviously seen some at gyms and stuff, but I have never like physically seen one to catch it or hatched one either. So
yeah,
I kind of need one though because my gym game is real weak right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our Pokemon Go update. What are we moving on to next? We got our read list. Mm-hmm. Josh, you want to kick us off with that?
Sure. I've read a bunch of stuff since our last episode, so I won't be able to cover it all. I'll go over some things though. Depending on where you are in the country, you might or might not know about Hastings Entertainment closing. They're like a bookstore, music store. You can get comics and like novelty toy, like pop toys.
Yeah, video games. It's kind of a collector's den.
Yeah, but those are closing. I think Halloween's when they'll all be closed. There's some that's already closed in our area, but went to their sales, picked up a bunch of books, and I'll go over some of those. I got Kingsman Red, which was a great movie.
Fantastic film.
And, Mike Millar, or however you say his name.
Mike Millar. Mike Miller, whatever.
He wrote it. Dave Gibbons. That should be a familiar name for you. He illustrated Watchmen.
That's right.
Co-created Watchmen. And Matthew Vaughn.
It's another familiar name.
He was involved with the Kick-Ass movies.
That's right. Yep.
He was the co-plotter in this book. And just like the other movies that were adapted, like Kick-Ass and, Hit Girl kind of became part of Kick-Ass too. The book's a little different, so definitely worth a read.
And definitely, if you haven't seen the movie, go see pick up a copy of Kingsman. It's well worth it. But action comedy, I guess, is a good way to put it. But it's outrageous.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was really, really pleased with it.
Yeah.
And I think they're making a second one.
They are. It'll be late next year. It should be coming up, I believe.
And then I read a Turok book, Turok Conquest, which was a little bit different. It was more like further back in time than most of the Turok books are set. It was pretty cool. Some of it didn't seem all quite on the level as far as like historical facts, but it was still good read, still entertaining. Some of the dialogue is kind of, but I enjoyed it.
I liked the video games. I liked the video games way back in the day. Those were kind of fun.
Cerebral Bore.
Yeah.
Whenever we played that, if anybody got Cerebral Bore, we're just like, oh, run away!
Yep, pretty much. That was like the golden gun of like 007 or whatever.
Preacher Book 2! Great, of course. Really enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know what I could really say about it without like spoiling it, except, just read Preacher. It's great. TV show is really good.
I've been watching the show actually. I'm 4 or 5 episodes in, so when I finish that, we'll have to get another episode for that going. Nice. I know I'm really behind because it's over already, but from what I've seen, I really really like it a lot.
Very enjoyable.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me a lot of. I've told you this a million times, but it reminds me a lot of like Coen Brothers.
It definitely has that feel to it.
Some more I got were some That's not new. That's old. I read that a long time ago. I think maybe I linked the other one to you. Earth One.
Yeah, you did.
Jeff Johns. That should be a familiar name for you. Very involved with DC. This was a cool read. It was kind of a reimagining of the other book I accidentally grabbed, which I read a long time ago. Year One.
Batman Year One is a great read, and there's also an animated movie for it that was adapted very well.
Yes. Good stuff. And this one's kind of the same, kind of a origin of Batman. And what's kind of cool about this one is Alfred is much more like... I think this might be kind of the basis of the Alfred in Gotham. He's much more like kind of kick-ass and like and more involved.
He was like British Special Forces, wasn't he? That's kind of what they're doing with the what is it? Batman v Superman, the new Justice League Batman with Jeremy Irons.
Yeah.
That's kind of the feel that we're getting with this Alfred.
I really enjoyed Jeremy Irons in BVS.
Yeah, he did not have enough time in it, but when he was spectacular. Especially as just Alfred. He was a good Alfred.
But yeah, good read, really great art, good story. I'd recommend it. And besides that, just my regular subscriptions, Invader Zim, Walking Dead, which is they're in another war, of course. The Whisperers War's going on. TMNT, Splinter's leading the Foot Clan and taking them out against this. They're called the Shadow. What were they called? I can't remember. There's like a new gang in town, and got to lead them against them, and Manifest Destiny, stuff like that.
Manifest Destiny is pretty cool. I actually took a look at that one that you lent to me real quick. Speaking of Walking Dead, we just had the new season premiere this last Sunday. Today is Tuesday, so this was 2 days ago, but that was some pretty crazy stuff. I'm really far behind, like, season 3 and like halfway through season 3.
Oh yeah.
So I'm way far behind, but even there is no hiding from the spoilers people have been talking about online. It's pretty graphic. I mean, I've seen several videos of the actual killings, but I was more sad about Abraham.
Yeah.
I was more sad about him dying than Glenn.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like, yeah, Glenn had been around since the beginning, and he was kind of important to the integral, like, original group or whatever. But even still, like, I
didn't think they were gonna. I predicted Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really surprised that Glenn got it too.
Well, I mean, people kind of already accepted him dying off earlier on last season with the whole, like, him in the dumpster, and everyone thought, like, oh, he's gonna die, and then he ended up being...
They teased it so many times, I just thought that they just weren't gonna do it. They just always teased it. Because there was another time when they were at Terminus where they had their heads over... Well, you probably haven't seen it.
No, I don't think I have.
It was kind of teased that he might die then, and then, like you mentioned, with him in the dumpster...
Well, and there's also, like, I think there was an interview a while back where he was talking about leaving the show or something.
Oh, yeah?
And so, like, I wasn't all that shocked, to be honest, that he was, because it was kind of, like, teased. I mean, we've been teased with it before and stuff. I've kind of kept up with what is really going on, but I haven't watched it.
Yeah.
But that was a pretty big shock. Hell of a way to start off a season.
Yeah. And like, when I read issue 100, like, when it happens in the comics, like, I remember feeling, like, physically sick by, like, that event. Like, watching it again on TV, it really wasn't much for me. And I really thought that, because the comics and the show differ quite a bit as far as, like, who lives and who dies, so I thought maybe they'd keep Glenn, because, what's her face? Oh, the lady who was shacking up with the governor. She's still in the comics.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name.
I can't either. Wow.
That's sad. But yeah, she died on the show, and she's still in the comics, so I thought maybe they were going to make that another difference where they kept Glenn on. But
well, I mean, Daryl Dixon, he wasn't even part of.
he's not in the comics.
I mean, he's a fan favorite, but he's not even in the comics. It was just the actor. What's his name?
Norman.
Norman Reedus. Like, he did so good on his audition. They're like, oh, we gotta throw this guy in here. He's perfect. But
Nice.
yeah, it's kind of interesting that he's. I mean, and he is like an integral piece to the puzzle too. Like
He's the one who got Glenn killed. Kind of.
Good job, Norman Reedus. You suck. But yeah, so that was shocking.
Can we talk about spoiler whiners? For a
Spoiler
second?
whiners.
That's what I'm going to call them. Like, people shouldn't really say spoilers too much, but anymore, like something like Walking Dead, where there's so many people watching it when it airs, once they see it, they want to talk about it, and social media is how they connect with people. So if you don't want to know what happened, don't open your Facebook until...
We go through the same thing every time there's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I know what happens in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
a season behind on Game of Thrones, and I know what happened this last season because everyone kept posting videos of it. Everyone kept like talking about it, and I have a lot of friends. They'll put like spoilers, and then they'll like enter a bunch, so then you can't even read the first line without like actually clicking on their status. And like there's that, but like yeah, like if you can't get mad at people for wanting to talk about it because it happened, and
the rest of the world's not going to stop because you haven't seen it.
Exactly. And I mean, at that point, just don't get on for a little while. Like, just don't. And so it was. I saw a lot of people getting mad about the spoilers for it. There's a haunter nearby. Oh snap!
Anna Ghastly. This is the Halloween update, people.
This is the Halloween update. It is here.
Popping off.
So now that we've talked about the big stuff going on with Walking Dead, any other thoughts on the new season? Where you think they're going to go with the direction? Are they going to completely just throw out what happens in the comics, or are they gonna because from what I heard, they were very like screen accurate to the like actual panels in the comic of that event, and I actually saw some like compare and contrast between. So you think they're gonna maybe move back a little towards the comics, or are they gonna still just keep going wild with it?
They usually stay pretty true, but they add a lot more like backstory and more dialogue and stuff like that. Comics to me seem much more fast paced, and that's kind of what I prefer.
There's a lot less flashbacks in the comics and stuff.
But I'm really excited to see Negan. He's a very interesting character, and his arc's still happening now in the comics, and
I was going to say I've seen panels and shots of him in the comics still. Yeah, I mean I'm not reading them, but even I can tell that he's still pretty integral to the story. Fun fact: the guy that's playing Negan in the show, he was Sam and Dean's dad in Supernatural. And he was kind of a dick in that show, too. So I think they kind of typecast him in that regards of picking a guy who's just kind of a jerk. Yeah.
He was the comedian in Watchmen, too.
That's right. He was the comedian who was also
kind of a jerk.
He was kind of a jerk.
A lot of a jerk, actually.
Yeah, he was.
I really thought he should be buffer. Like Negan in the comics, it's pretty built, dude.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey Dean Morgan seems kind of...
He's got old man strength.
Yeah.
He's got old man strength. But he was pretty big for a comedian.
He was.
Like, he was, like, not gonna lie, he was pretty buff for that. So I don't know if they just decided to leave it with where he was at now or whatever. But I don't know, he's still pretty intimidating. And especially, he's got that smile, too, that he uses a lot, too. And that's just disturbing in and of itself. So, now that we've talked about Walking Dead, we can get to my reading list. I got sick a couple weeks ago, like really violently ill. So I actually did quite a bit of reading while I was sick. And I've been kind of going through some of Kevin Smith's, some of his books that he's done. Batman for real. Like I did Batman Cacophony, and then the sequel to it, The Widening Gyre, and he's still working on the third installment of this run of Batman. But it's funny you bring up the Batman Year One book because that's the continuity that Kevin Smith is basing his Batman on. Is he's using that Year One as his baseline for his Batman. Because in Widening Gyre, he actually references his first night putting on the cowl, and he goes into the rich people's home and like you've been eating well, and he actually references that event in Widening Gyre. And something that a lot of people consider controversial about The Widening Gyre is Batman, kind of the story on The Widening Gyre, he kind of takes under his wing a new protege. Basically, Dick has gone off and he's done his own thing. Jason Todd, obviously, is dead. And then Tim Drake, he's gone off and done other Robin stuff. I think he said he's doing stuff with the Titans, and so he doesn't have anyone really. And this new guy pops up, and he kind of names himself. Oh gosh, what's it called? It's like Balfonet or something like that. It's a weird like biblical sounding name, but he takes him under his wing and he starts training him up and taking him out. And he decides to impart kind of like something pretty personal about himself as starting out as Batman. And he talked about that first night when he went into the rich people's home and said, "You've eaten well." And he said that the percussion of the smoke bomb he used actually caused him to wet himself. So a lot of people were very pissed off about that. Like, you made Batman pee his pants. and I can kind of see why they'd be mad because, I mean, he's Batman. But still, that first night, like, in Batman Year One, he got his butt handed to him a lot. He made a lot of simple rookie mistakes in that first night. And even still, with something as percussive as that, no matter what kind of human being, what kind of training you've undergone, like, you will probably still pee your pants.
You don't just become Batman, like, all of a sudden, just like, oh.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I see why people are mad, but at the same time, it's pretty realistic in that sense of, like, you'll pee your pants.
Gotta
like,
start somewhere.
I know dudes in the Marine Corps who, like, they felt the percussion of a grenade going off, and they weren't even, like, close to where the shrapnel was. They just felt the blast, and they peed their pants. Like, come on. I know. I saw. I'm kind of excited about that. We've got all sorts of nearby stuff coming on with Pokemon, so we're just gonna keep updating on that Pokemon stuff. In addition to Kevin Smith's catalog, Josh lent me his Arrow run, and I just started that. That was pretty good. And also I read Paul Dini and Bruce Timm's Mad Love and other stories, which Paul Dini and Bruce Timm were the creative driving force of the Batman animated series back in the day. And Mad Love is the origin story of Harley Quinn, pretty much. And Harley Quinn, a lot of people may know, Harley Quinn was not in the comics originally. She was created by Bruce Timm and Paul Dini for the show because they said that they were thinking like, oh, Joker needs like a sidekick. But initially, she was a one-off character that they ended up just enjoying having around. Like, oh, we can run with this. And so Harley Quinn basically just needed a backstory, so they created a comic strip, and I think eventually they adapted it into an episode later on. I want to say they did, but it was a comic first, and it is actually a pretty good read, a very interesting read, especially if those of you who want to get more into who Harley Quinn is and where she came from, that is the origin story for her. So I would highly suggest reading all of those, all of Kevin Smith's run and Mad Love.
Who illustrated Kevin Smith's run?
That would be Walter Flanagan.
Comic book man fame.
Yes, he is.
Cryptozoic Man fame.
Actually, a very good friend of Kevin Smith. He actually got Kevin Smith back into comics because Kevin Smith, he did comics like when he was a little kid, like we all did. But it wasn't until he was in like going to film school and stuff. Walter Flanagan actually got him back into comics and got him into Batman specifically. Because the only Batman Kevin Smith really knew was
the movie, probably.
the TV show, the Adam West TV show. That was his Batman.
I heard him talk about the movie a lot.
Well, he got really excited about the movie, and that's also what piqued his interest of getting into the comics again, was the movie coming out, and Walter Flanagan was there to guide him. So
yeah,
both of them working together created a really good Batman.
And now Walt runs his comic shop.
And now he runs his comic shop. The thing about the way Walter draws Batman, I was not a fan of at first because he's got the really tall ears, and usually I'm not usually a fan of that. I kind of like the shorter ears or like the medium ears, kind of like the Batman animated series. I grew up on that, so that's kind of how I like my Batman. But as the run went on, I kind of started liking more and more the way Walter drew Batman. I kind of had to get used to it, but it's really good artwork, really good story, and I'm excited for them to finally finish it. But they've been saying they've been working on it for the last year and a half, 2 years. So I don't know when that's going to come out, but hopefully soon.
Nice.
So that's my read list. What are we doing next?
Should we maybe cut in with some of the new shows?
Some of the new shows, what do you mean?
Like Arrow and Flash.
Oh, yes. Because Arrow just started up again too.
Yep.
I'm still far behind. I'm working to catch up on all that, and I'm about to start Flash.
Should I breeze over that real quick?
Go ahead, breeze over it. I mean, I'm going to watch it. I will not get mad at spoilers.
I won't spoil it. I'll just kind of do summary kind of thing.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll start with Flash since that's kind of the best show.
It's the new best show on CW.
But it's basically Flashpoint Paradox.
I did hear about that. They're doing the Flashpoint storyline, which Flash has been kind of dealing with some time travel stuff already.
He's thick in it now.
Well, yeah, I mean, that story is balls deep time travel. So much so that it goes into a parallel universe of what is happening.
There's a lot of that happening.
Yeah.
Tom Felton's in there now.
I did hear that.
My guess is he'll end up being the big bad, would be my guess. But yeah, we've seen some interesting characters. Wally West was Flash for a while in a few episodes. I think they're about 3 or 4 episodes in now. But yeah, it's really good so far. The tone's kind of changed with it, since he's been fiddling with time and things are changing. The tone of it's kind of changing. Arrow, pretty cool. Now they've got some new people in there. The guy who plays, was it Wild Dog, I think's his name? He looks familiar, but I can't remember where I've seen him from. But yeah, he's getting a new team together. His costume's changed again.
I did see the costume change. Is Diggle still in the show?
Mm-hmm.
He got a costume change too, didn't he?
No, he's not part of the team anymore.
Oh.
He's like off doing his own thing, but they're kind of, well, that would kind of be a spoiler. But yeah, Deadshot's back in it, so that's kind of cool. Legends of Tomorrow, they just had an episode with the JSA.
Oh, yes, I heard about
cool.
this too.
And they're doing some time traveling things where they're doing like Einstein and like France.
They're basically like going and seeing some famous people from way back in the day. I did hear about
World
this.
War II kind of stuff too. Which Legends of Tomorrow, like, it's not a perfect show. There's a lot like kind of goofy with it, and they're trying to cram a lot of characters into there, so it gets kind of muddled. But it's so much fun. It's like superheroes meets like Back to the Future, time travel, you know.
Yeah.
And it's almost every episode's kind of like a period piece, which I like period pieces. Like,
it's more entertaining because you get something from different times, and I like history too, so I think once I get to that point, I'll start watching that as well.
And they've lost like Hot Girl and what's his face, Hawk Man or whatever.
Hawk Girl and Hawk Man.
Yeah, they're not in the show anymore. Neither is Captain Cold. But they're bringing in some new characters. So.
Are they like completely out of the show, like dead, or they're dead?
Well, I won't. Some are dead. Some are just off doing their
own thing. Okay. I'll let that slide. Well, I'll get there.
And Supergirl has Superman now.
Yep.
I watched those episodes.
He's actually a really cool Superman
he's
too.
Really good.
Like
I was surprised.
He's kind of cheeky too. He's kind of like he's got a little like he's not like sassy, but he's just kind of like he's what everyone wanted Henry Cavill to be.
Yeah.
And like regardless of how you feel about Zack Snyder's Superman, I really liked Man of Steel. I know a lot of people hated it. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, there are some problems with it or whatever, and it's not a perfect film by any means, especially in like capturing the essence of Superman. I thought it was really good, but this new Superman, what's his name? He's from he's from that vampire show.
Vampire Diaries?
No, not
True
Vampire
Blood?
Diary, True Blood. He was on True Blood.
Huh.
I can't remember the dude's name, but like he makes a really good Superman. Just from what I've seen.
I really enjoyed it. Like, when I first saw the pictures, I think we talked about this in an episode. We were just like, we don't know
We did have an episode where we briefly talked about it, and I was kind of iffy, but I've seen some footage and watched a couple clips and stuff, and he's nailed it. Yeah. Like, definitely.
And they brought in some pretty big villains in the Superman world, and that was pretty cool.
They're saying this is a precursor. They're calling for a Superman solo show in and of itself, like, not to undermine Supergirl, because, I mean, let's face it, Supergirl brought Superman into it, but, like...
Yeah. Supergirl's been a good show.
From what I hear, it's not what I thought it was going to be when I saw the first trailer.
The promos made it look like total, like, teeny...
It looked like 27 Dresses, but with Supergirl.
Yeah.
So when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is going to be terrible, but I've only heard good things.
It's pretty good.
And so that's also on my list of things to watch, especially with that Flash Supergirl episode. That was a pretty big deal, too.
I just watched that recently. There's some episodes I skipped because I was just so eager to get to the new season with Superman. So it's just, I went through on Netflix on the ones I hadn't seen yet. I was like, oh, Flash is in this one. Oh, this is a flashback to Martian Manhunter's origin. I'll watch that one. And then I was looking at some of those. I was like, I'll skip those.
Yeah, Martian Manhunter is another recurring character. He's pretty cool, too.
Yeah, he's really cool.
I like Martian Manhunter. He's probably one of the coolest.
Yeah. I've watched, I watch a lot of Variant on YouTube. And they do a lot of, is such and such as powerful as Superman, blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, like, Martian Manhunter is, like, pretty on par with Superman. I was pretty surprised by that.
That's kind of a bold statement to make, too.
He's got some pretty cool powers.
Except he has a whole thing about being susceptible to fire.
Yeah.
And, Superman kind of laughs at that, so...
Yeah.
I mean, technically Superman...
Come out my eyes.
Yeah, I was going to say, Superman could just laser him and...
Heat vision!
Done. So that's my stance on it, though. Yeah. What else you got?
I think that's it. That's mainly the Arrowverse shows is what I'm getting back into. Yep. Otherwise, all the other shows I keep up with aren't really superhero or sci-fi related. It's like Goldbergs and Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Last Man on Earth, stuff like that.
Okay. All right, so that's our catch-up on the show. So now let's move into our Halloween theme. It'll be Halloween movies, shows, episodes, pretty much anything encompassing Halloween or spooky things. So Josh, why don't you start with your number 5? Mine's not in any particular order. Josh's is. So I'm just going to list off mine along with his.
These are my top 5 movies. We usually do top 5, so
top 5 it is.
I guess I'll do top 5. How did I order them? Number 5, Halloween.
Halloween.
Gotta have Halloween.
That is a classic. That is a classic.
I didn't see it until like maybe 3 or 4 years ago. I hadn't seen it up until then.
The original or the remake?
The original. I caught it on AMC with their little, what is it, Horror Fest or something?
Horror Fest, yeah.
Horror.
The thing where they show Harry Potter and then everything else along with it.
And ever since then, I've tried to catch it every year. It's good.
It's a classic horror for that. Mine will probably be Halloween Town. Those of you who grew up watching Disney Channel as a kid, Halloween Town always came up around this time, and that was like my childhood Halloween movie. That and Casper the Friendly Ghost, but it doesn't hold up to how Halloween Town does for me now. Like, I could still watch Halloween Town and still really enjoy it.
Is it? So it's a made-for-TV movie?
Yeah, it was one of the Disney Channel original movies. It's basically about this girl who discovers that her grandma is a witch, and she lives in a place called Halloween Town. And it's basically where all, like, spooky, Halloween-y things live. Skeletons, ghouls, ghosts, werewolves, all these things live. And it was very magical.
Nice. My number 4, Ernest Scared Stupid.
Oh my god.
I got it. It's a 3-pack, but it's in there. When I was a kid, I wanted to watch that movie so bad, but we only had antenna TV. We didn't have cable, and it was always showed on ABC, which we didn't get in very well. So when it would air, we'd have to like mess with the rabbit ears, and like it never like came in very well to where I got to see like the whole thing. And the parts that I did see, it was all like gravelly and not coming in
grainy and stuff, yeah,
which made it even scarier. Like,
oh yeah, I bet it would, even though it's Ernest. you know what my favorite Ernest movie is?
What's that?
Ernest Goes to Hell. I hate Ernest so much.
I grew up with Ernest, so I like Ernest.
I watched one once and I hated it. I hated every minute of it. It was
How old were you?
Oh, I was like 15, 16.
Maybe that's the difference.
I don't know. I was pretty big into Monty Python and had some classic comedy right there.
Well, that's different kind of creature there.
Touche. So my next would be Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There's an episode in season 2, episode 6, I believe. That's what I had written down. Episode 6. It was called Halloween, and it was a fun concept because in the Buffy universe, nothing bad happens on Halloween. Like, you know how everyone associates All Hallows Eve. It's when ghosts and ghouls and everything come out. Well, in the Buffy universe, nothing bad happens on Halloween. No vampire attacks, no like creepy or anything, except for in this episode, someone pulls some witchcraft and basically enchants the town's Halloween costume shop. So whatever costume someone wears, they become that persona. So Buffy, she wears a princess costume, and she becomes a princess, and she loses all of her like Slayer powers. She becomes like this simpering like princess. And then Xander, he puts on a army soldier uniform, and then he becomes this badass Rambo type character. And it was just kind of like a fun way to like look at that, because the whole town goes into chaos because all these people put on like devil masks and they suddenly are running around as demons and stuff. So it was a fun episode.
Huh. That's an interesting idea.
Yeah, it was a very fun concept. What's your number 3, Josh?
My number 3 was another one I own, Sleepy Hollow.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Ooh, look at that. But I'm not really a big Tim Burton fan, but I really love Sleepy Hollow for some reason. I think it's because it's kind of, I don't know, like revolutionary, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like,
it was just a reimagining of the original folklore tale.
Yeah, like New England and like that era kind of interests me.
Pre-Revolutionary War era.
I want to say pioneer, but that's totally not right.
That is really not. That is a whole like 150 years before that.
But yeah, that whole time period, in like the New England, like when the country was new, like Pilgrim times, like that kind of stuff. That
so it was very superstitious time. That's actually kind of why I liked the Witch. The Witch. It was something that came out earlier this year. It takes place during that time as well.
I think. Where did I see that? That's available for streaming somewhere. Maybe on Epix.
Definitely check out The Witch. The Witch.
The double V-itch.
Double V-itch. It's a very good movie. I would highly suggest turning on subtitles. Just because there's certain parts where, especially because they talk in the old Puritan, like thee, thou. It's very old timey, very biblical in a sense. And sometimes the dialogue is hard to distinguish what they're saying, especially the dad, because he has that deep, gravelly voice. But it's a really good movie, very enjoyable, very suspenseful as well, and it's it's definitely put you in the Halloween spirit. I guess I should have put that on my list. That's a good one.
We went and saw it in the theaters when it came out, and afterwards we left and we were like, we don't know what to think about this yet. We had to sit down and talk about it.
It took about a half-hour discussion before we decided we liked it.
Yeah. We never thought it was like bad. It was just like, what are we think? What I'm not sure what to think about this. We had to like sit down and think about it.
The ending, you have to kind of reobserve it and decide what actually happened, because it does leave some questions as to what really did happen. What was shown may have just been a visual fantasy of what they thought happened, or it was literally what happened. And so it's very good cinematography, great acting. The mom, she was she was in Game of Thrones. She was I can't remember the name's character, but she's the one who had it was the Sky Castle. They'd open up the floor and throw people down. I cannot remember her name, but
I do know what you're talking about.
Yes, she was a meanie in that show too.
Is she the one that was like breastfeeding?
Yes, she was the one that breastfed her like 8-year-old son.
It's so weird.
It was very weird, but it's a great movie. Watch The Witch. My third one is going to be The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. It's a classic, like, just because that's always on TV this time of year. I mean, it's Charlie Brown is classic. It's like baseball and apple pie.
Yeah.
And as much as like I grew up reading Peanuts too, even though like a lot of it is very like over the head stuff for kids at that age. But like I really liked Charlie Brown, and this one was fun. It was definitely really fun, especially with the whole Snoopy as the fighting the Red Baron. I just got a kick out of that, so I'm gonna throw that in as my number 3.
Nice. That's very quotable too. A lot of times people will be like, I got blah blah blah.
I got a rock.
I got rock. Nobody seems to know what I'm talking about when I do that, though.
These darn millennials.
Either that or people just don't think it's funny. I don't know.
That's
totally possible.
Classic comedy.
I got rock. Number 2, Trick or Treat.
Trick or Treat. Hey, that's also on my list.
Great one. Nice. It's pretty much like different stories, but they all connect. It was like a straight to DVD movie, but it's so good. I can't imagine how it didn't get a.
It was very fun. It's a very fun like Halloween movie. It's goofy and over the top, but it does encapsulate like the goofy and silliness of Halloween itself, and it has some scary parts in it too that like are pretty messed up.
Yeah.
And it follows the trend. I guess I'll say my next one, because that's my next one, is Trick or Treat, Tales from the Dark Side, Tales from the Crypt. Basically, it's where it's a bunch of short stories put together and encapsulated with one overall story, and that's what I really enjoyed about Trick or Treat. It was like the old Tales from the Dark Side, where, I mean, Tales from the Dark Side, that was like 1980s, early 90s, and it was basically just like that. There was one like encompassing story that connects all the different ones together, and usually some of them are silly, some of them are like kind of scary, some of them are really messed up, and it kind of captures the spirit of Halloween with that.
Yeah, definitely. Also, something that's not quite as like scary and like messed up as Trick or Treat, but something that was just kind of good fun was. Did you ever see Fun Sized?
Fun Sized. Oh.
It's kind of aimed for a younger crowd. Probably
That
like,
sounds familiar. What was?
it's like this girl supposed to be taking her little brother out for trick or treating. It's the kid who ends up playing the kid in Bad Grandpa when he was littler.
Oh.
And he like runs off, and they're trying to find him all night.
I want to say I have. This sounds very familiar.
It's actually a pretty fun movie. It's definitely not aimed at me, but I still enjoyed it. It's probably more like a junior high demographic is what they were probably shooting for, but it's still really fun.
Probably has that like 80s movie vibe to it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Like, okay, I think I've seen this. I just cannot. I'd have to like see like the intro clip or the trailer, and then I'd be like, "Yep, got it."
It kind of makes me wonder if that's kind of what got that little kid and Johnny Knoxville together for Grandpa's Boy.
It probably did.
Johnny Knoxville plays like a bad guy in a little part of the movie.
Yeah, Bad Grandpa was a funny movie. I really enjoyed that.
I was surprised because that skit was my least favorite skit of the Jackass skits, like the old man.
The old man, but then it turned into a whole movie, and it ended up being good. Funny fun fact, that Bad Grandpa starts in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Oh,
they didn't film there. Well, I mean, they took some clips of them filming there, but they didn't actually film it there, the scenes. Like, there is actually a part where you can see the Capitol building.
Yeah.
And like, they actually reference there in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Huh.
But so, fun fact about that, a little bit of a throw to where we live, kind of. 2 hours away. Close enough. What's your number one?
My number one was Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
There we go. Both of us had two from each other's lists. I didn't even look at yours until after I had written mine either.
Oh,
so.
nice.
But yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one.
Classic.
What
about you?
And like I said, I didn't put this necessarily in an order, but I will say this is the scariest out of all the movies I've already listed. And it's not necessarily a Halloween movie either, but it definitely gets me in the spooky mood. Insidious Part 2. Just like the common trend with trilogies or sagas, the second one is always the best. Star Wars Episode 5, people argue that is the best Star Wars.
That one's true.
Indiana Jones was an exception to that rule.
Back to the Future is an exception.
Back to the Future is also an exception to that rule. But then there's other ones. I'm trying to remember. I just had like a list in my head because I knew this was going to be...
Two Towers?
Two Towers. That was definitely better. Lord of the Rings.
I don't know. That's kind of a toss-up for me between Two Towers and Return.
Return of the King is definitely a good way to end it, but it kind of rushed towards the end. That's why Two Towers was so... That's why I think it was better. But regardless, Insidious Part 2 was good because it answered all the questions that were left unanswered in Part 1. In addition, it also delved further and deeper into that universe as well. It gave us a lot more lore. There was a lot of, like... It was way scarier, in a sense. There was a lot more parts that really creeped me out and really, like, shook me up. And actually, like, as messed up as it is, like, I experienced my first night terror because of...
Oh, really?
Because of a thing in that movie.
Huh.
Like, I had never, at least not that I remember, I had never experienced it before until after I saw the movie. And I remember the old woman, those of you who've seen Part 2, the old woman in black, one night I woke up and I was laying on my side and I couldn't move, but I knew if I rolled over, she was going to be standing right over me. And I lay there for a good, 5-10 minutes, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die. So,
wow.
But at the same time, it's the scariest one, but it also is, my favorite out of all three. So that's what gets me in the Halloween mood.
Nice.
Josh, what was your favorite Halloween costume you ever wore as a kid?
I only ever dressed up as a cowboy.
A what?
A cowboy.
What's a cowboy?
They wear the hat and the boots with the spurs.
You're a cowboy?
Yeah, cowboy. That's what I said.
Oh my god.
Because that's like, my brother Joey remembers dressing up as like, I don't remember what he said. He told me the other day, he's like, I remember dressing up like blah blah blah. I was like, I only remember us dressing up as like cowboys because that's like what we had. Like we never went out and like bought costumes or anything. We were just like, oh, we got cowboy boots for you. Cowboy shirt. You're a cowboy.
Cowboy.
What about you?
My favorite definitely gonna be Darth Vader.
Nice.
When I was little, my favorite thing was Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Like, he was the coolest. Like, I remember the first time watching Star Wars Episode 4, and he comes out after all those stormtroopers kill all those dudes, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's the bad guy? He is so cool. Look at that. And so, like, I wanted to be him. So I was actually him for 2 years in a row.
Nice.
Because I loved Darth Vader.
Can I do my impression of what I would have done if I was Darth Vader for Halloween?
Sure.
Alright, here we go. Knock, 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 knock. Trick or treat! Offer me some candy.
So here's some candy.
I find your lack of Milky Way disturbing.
Good God.
No?
Yeah. I think I'd throw a king-size candy bar your way for that. Especially if it wasn't you like as little kid Josh, it was like full-size Josh. And not in like a legit Darth Vader costume, just like a mask, the faceplate, and the lightsaber, and maybe like a bathrobe.
Nice. Can we talk about something else?
Yeah. What's up?
My little list was the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about some? I think you threw TV.
I did throw TV shows in. What do you got for TV shows?
Treehouse of Horror.
Treehouse of Horror.
Got
oh
a
my
marathon
gosh.
that every year. Got a marathon it.
Every single one. And it just gets longer and longer every year.
Yeah.
So it just takes longer and longer to watch them all. But
I've got them saved on my PS3. I watch them every year.
that's a good one.
I actually made a video of what I thought were the best segments and put it up on YouTube like 2 years ago, but 20th Century Fox like booted
Oh
up
yeah, you can't have that kind of stuff
Yeah.
anymore.
because I used clips from the show. I need to find a way to like put that back up because it was a good list.
I think you can as long as you don't have like audio on it,
I
and if
put
you
it-
only show like clips out of segment either.
Yeah. I think I need to just find a different website to put it on where they don't.
True.
care.
YouTube has been cracking down on stuff like that, and a lot of people are not happy. But yeah, you should include that in like the show notes or something of this episode. Of
Should
what
figure
they
that
are.
out.
We should definitely Halloween. We should watch those. Because I also enjoy those. I love all the references they make to like they make a ton to Edgar Allan Poe, Stephen King, like a bunch of different horror genres, personas, famous writers, and they're like really small little things. I know my English teacher like actually like showed us the Raven segment of
That's a good one.
that
That was
one's
on my list.
yeah that was one of the best segments because they actually like performed the poem
Yeah.
with a few liberties in there.
Homer reading it is so good, and Dan Castellaneta like performs it so good as Homer. It's just perfect.
It is. It was spectacular. So I would include that. We should we should do a Halloween episode. We'll wear our costumes and we'll go through the Treehouse of Horrors.
One of my favorite, I think I might have put it as number one, is actually based on Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown.
Really?
It's Millhouse Waiting.
Oh,
It's so
I've
good.
seen that one. That's a good one.
It's so good.
That's a really fun one. I really like that. God.
It's so good. You roast the unborn? Would you like some pumpkin bread? Pumpkin? Or bread made especially for pumpkins? Mm. No, actually it's made out of pumpkins. What? It is so good. I love that episode.
Oh, it's so bad, but it's so good. I love it. Oh man. Yeah, we need to like watch those together, and we could actually do like a commentary track. Granted, we can't show the actual footage of it, but we can
Thanks,
talk.
20th Century
Thanks, YouTube terms of agreement. Jog on. But yeah, that'll be something. what's something else we have to look forward to for another episode? Doctor Strange comes out next month. We got like 2 weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks, and Doctor Strange is coming out, so we can probably do an episode on that.
Def.
What else is happening?
That's about
Star Wars Rogue One the next month. That's coming up really fast.
That looks good. I'm excited.
I'm really excited. I mean, especially with the last trailer that came out, and they had Darth Vader. Like, I felt like that little kid again when.
I'm gonna need to. I don't think I've seen that trailer. I'm gonna have to watch that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and he's only in it for like a little bit, but like at the same time, that same giddiness I got from seeing him when I first saw Episode 4 for the first time, I got that again as a full-sized adult. Oh my gosh, Darth Vader, Darth Vader, Darth Vader. So, I'm really excited for Rogue One. They did. There has been some little trouble going on with that though, because apparently they fired their musical director for the movie last month in August. The movie comes out very soon, so
yeah.
and they hired a guy on like right away.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the dude's name, but basically he has 3 months to get that stuff like fixed.
Good luck.
So yeah, sorry to be you, but I hope you get paid out really well. So a lot of people are kind of worried about if they're making last second changes like that. There's a Ghastly nearby, sorry. But yeah, people are a little worried about that. I think the story's going to turn out great, and it looks really good too.
What are you planning to be for Halloween this year? Anything?
I'm going to be Captain America, I think.
Nice.
I'm going to get back into that. So we'll see how that goes. Yours is kind of a fun one. You have your wife to help you out with that one.
Yep.
You gonna explain to our audience what it is? What it is?
I'm gonna be Hugh Glass from The Revenant, and she's gonna be the bear.
She's downstairs making it right now. She's making the bear costume, and it's gonna be funny. I think that's gonna be hilarious.
It was originally gonna be just like a Comic-Con thing, but we thought maybe we could get it done by Halloween. So
I have faith in you guys. Oh, one more bit of movie news.
Oh, go ahead. You go first.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Mine is on the Deadpool sequel, Deadpool 2.
Oh, yeah?
The director, I can't remember the guy's name, he and Ryan Reynolds have been going through some creative differences.
Oh, really?
So he's left the position of director.
Huh.
And now they're searching for one, and there's a petition currently going to get Quentin Tarantino to direct.
Oh, really?
Which, Quentin Tarantino is a comic book fan. He grew up reading comics, so he's all for this kind of thing. But I don't know if he would be a good fit for especially the way Deadpool 1 was. I don't think it would translate well as a Quentin Tarantino. Granted, Ryan Reynolds, part of it was Ryan Reynolds wanted to keep Deadpool 2 feeling a lot more like Deadpool 1, whereas the old director, he wanted to make it more like the classic superhero movie, kind of what we've been seeing. So I think keeping that formula that Ryan Reynolds is looking at will continue to help with the success of Deadpool 2. Just because he focused on fourth wall breaks, references, gags and stuff, and that's how well it played out with just using that.
First Deadpool seemed very, very fast paced, very quippy. I love Tarantino's movies, but they're much more build up dialogue.
They're drawn out too. That's the thing about
totally throw off a Deadpool.
Exactly, because Deadpool it was all bits. Every scene was a bit.
Yeah.
And then there were bits within the bits, and like you said, they were very short segments put together, lined up, not necessarily chronological. Which Quentin Tarantino, granted, he doesn't do everything chronologically, but at the same time, like you said, his are drawn out, long scenes. Let's talk about Hateful Eight. That was a long, drawn out scene. Yeah. And granted, there were some flashbacks, but it was pretty much chronological. And I don't think it would translate well. As interesting of a concept that would be as having him direct it, I don't think it would work.
He'd have to switch up his style, which
I don't think that would work for him because he stays true to it.
Yeah, I don't see it either. But
Yeah.
who knows?
So what was your thing? Final thought.
Remember?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to throw you off.
But yeah, AirCap Comic Con, November 12th, 13th, Wichita, Kansas. Andy Parks, Jai Nitz, B. Claymore, C.W. Cook, Greg Smallwood. What's his name? Where's he at? Phil Hester. Duh.
Phil Hester.
How could I forget Phil
How could you
Hester's
forget
name?
Phil Hester?
But yeah, Phil and Andy are some of my favorites, so I always try to go see them whenever they're at a con. They've got some books I want to get. Phil just worked on, I heard him talk about it at a panel at a different con earlier this summer. He said he should have the trade of it at this one. It's some of Gold Key's, like classic characters, like teaming up. So it's like Turok and all these other Gold Key characters like teaming up. It's like, oh, cool, I gotta get that.
It's gonna be like a hodgepodge book. Sounds like.
And Andy's gonna have his Seduction of the Innocent, which last time I saw him at a con, he was out of them. He said he should have them at this one. So, and of course, always great cosplay and stuff at conventions.
Yes, sir.
So, excited to go see that.
Yeah, maybe you should videotape some footage from that. We can include it in our next episode too.
See what I can do. Not bad. 940.
Yeah, mine was a 870, so we're catching some more ghost Pokemon, so excuse us as we try and continue on the Halloween Poke grind.
I'm really... Because I haven't really been opening my Pokemon much because I've kind of caught everything I can around this area. And, like, all the gyms in my area I'm already in, except for, like, Incarni, which are all yellow Team Instinct spoofer gyms that you can't touch because...
Yeah. Hey, if you're a spoofer, like...
Get a life.
Why play the game if you're gonna be playing that? For those of you who don't know what a spoofer is, basically it's someone who hacks into the GPS of their phone and they can position themselves wherever they want in the world, pretty much. So then they can catch ridiculous like Pokemon. They can position themselves in any gym without actually traveling to it. So we call them spoofers, and we've had quite a few. Like your gym was taken over by some spoofers. Like it was very early on. Like it was only like a month in, and there were people who were like level like 25, level 30, and it's physically impossible for them to have been that level. And they took over their gym completely so that no one else could get in, so they could just collect coins. It took four or five of us to finally whittle it down enough. It took a ridiculous amount of revives, a ridiculous amount of potions.
We had to go out and hit some more stops and come back.
Yeah, and eventually we got them all kicked out. But if you're a spoofer, like, why even play the game if you're gonna cheat like that? Like, there are some things I'd understand cheating, like finding some way to like clone Pokeballs so you have like 1 million of them or something. Like, yeah, that makes sense. But like spoofers, if you can just shoot yourself all across wherever to get a Pokemon or whatever, why even play at that point? Go back to playing it on Game Boy or something.
Right.
Like there's no point. So
and it's pretty obvious when you're in every gym with a Dragonite that you're a spoofer, so you're not impressing anyone.
No one has 10 Dragonites. No one, unless you're a spoofer.
Unless you're a spoofer.
Show me someone who has 10 Dragonites and is confirmed not a spoofer. I'll take that back, but you'll never find them.
Right.
And if you do, comment on the video, let us know.
So
and then we'll find them being a spoofer. That'll be our next show, to catch a spoofer.
We'll lure them in and then have like Stone Phillips or whoever come in.
Yeah.
Send them to jail. You're in jail for spoofing.
No, we'll just watch as Neontech like publicly bans them, like perma-bans them.
That would be great.
Except Neontech doesn't perma-ban anyone.
Sad story.
Yeah. Hey, Neontech, if you're watching this, which you probably aren't, how about you guys like do something about these guys and not just like soft ban them, just like kick them off for a day or whatever? How about you like actually do something about these kids
Yeah.
Someone's battling your gym. Let's go take care of it.
It's probably Master Renegade and Tra-Law 11.
Yeah, if you're watching, which you probably aren't, screw you guys. Go home. Okay.
Or maybe it's the spoofers. Maybe they heard us.
Oh, snap. They already came to attack us. Well, attack you. I mean, I don't really give a crap about Mystic.
Tra-la-la.
It's Tra-la-la. She already knows. You see him. Let's go mess him up.
Let's go physically intimidate them.
Let's go poop on their car hood.
Yeah, Brandon, you're teammates with him.
Oh, I'm going to go help him then. Okay. So until next time.
Love, peace, chicken grease.
Graphic Dudity.
Pew, 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 pew. Fixing it in post.
Fixing it in post. There's a Haunter and a Ghastly nearby.
Alright, I got it up now. That sounded bad after I said it.